for joining this session today. I'm looking forward to it, just to have some interesting discussions with you and to present such an interesting topic. Our topic today will be about how threat intelligence will strengthen third-party risk management. Just a small introduction. My name is Ali Marwani, Senior Solutions Engineer at SOC Radar. Regarding the topic for today, we'll be covering we'll have a quick introduction, then we'll talk about understanding third-party risk management and supply chain intelligence. Then after that, we'll jump into the role of threat intelligence and third-party risk management and how threat intelligence and supply chain intelligence would help organizations in terms of managing the risk, in terms of knowing more your third parties, your third-party vendors, and trying to understand more their risks. Then we will have a brief about some case studies and real-world examples, and the end we'll give some space, of course, a conclusion. I'll give some space for questions and some answers. So, in today's digital world, businesses are increasingly facing new cybersecurity incidents that are disruptive, costly, and they are potentially damaging to their reputation. And this is happening because, of course, attacks are being much more sophisticated. Campaigns are being much more complex. Threat actors are, putting more techniques and more tactics and more tools in their toolbox that are making things harder for security professionals. And in addition to that is the increase of relying on third-party vendors and third-party organizations in terms of maybe for services, in terms of commodities, in terms of products, in terms of platforms, and of course, the software as a service. Now, I'll just give some example, a bit of numbers for one single part of third-party vendors, which is the cloud transformation and the rally to cloud platforms, for example, which is introducing a significant amount of risks. By Gartner, they say that by 2027, 70% of organizations will use industry cloud platforms. This is because it accelerates their business operations, their business initiatives. It could be because it's much more cost-effective, cost-efficient. Also, Netscope, they say, in their cloud and threat report, 2024 report, say that the interaction with people, that the people's interaction with SaaS applications are increasing by 35% per year. So this is only one part of relying on third party, which is cloud, where you share the security. For example, you share the security with them when it comes to the infrastructure and network security. They handle it, and you handle your platforms that you are hosting on the cloud. And this is only one part. Another part, if you're an organization, you're offering services to your clients, you're also moving applications to the cloud. You're increasing the toolbox of technologies that you are using because you have to build more integrations within those technologies. So you're connecting one product with one other technology, one platform with one other technology, and this is only one simple part of how you rely on third-party vendors. So given that you are sharing sensitive information with your third-party vendors, as I said, regardless if it's services or products or technologies, you are, exposing yourself to additional threats, and you are being introduced to a totally different or new threat landscape. And to give an example about a significant third-party incident that happened, which is SolarWinds, and I think everybody knows SolarWinds attack that happened from a vulnerability on one of the third-party suppliers that led to a significant breach. And later on, we can talk how threat intelligence would help in third-party risk management and how SolarWinds attack would have been avoided in such cases. So our focus today is talking about how threat intelligence will be protecting third-party ecosystems. And we'll talk about how threat intelligence will help businesses to manage and mitigate these third-party risks. We'll also explore like how you can better secure your relationship with vendors, with service providers, and with subcontractors, by the way, because it's not only about dealing with an organization or with a company or a vendor. Sometimes you might have a project that requires subcontractors, freelancers. You give them access to your internal systems just for this limited time of the project, but this is also, imposing an additional threat to your organization. So this is also a part that you have to take into consideration when it comes to third-party vendors and a piece of your supply chain. So this can be done by, as I said, threat intelligence, which is also a threat intelligence driven approach to your risk management strategy. So understanding third-party risk management. So now to begin, let's clarify what do we mean by third-party risk management. Third-party risk management is simply identifying and assessing and managing the risks that might arise from working with external parties, as I said, suppliers, vendors, and subcontractors. Now, these third-party organizations, as we mentioned ago, they play a critical role in service delivery and in business operations because, as I said, we usually, and it's not only limited to enterprises where they, adopt this particular approach, but governmental entities, enterprises, small, medium organizations, startups, they always try to be a much more cost efficient, and they go to the subject matter experts. That's why they go to third parties instead of building everything from scratch. So imagine like your CRM, you're building your own CRM from scratch, or if you want your auditing or your finance systems to build it from scratch, you just go to a vendor and you get just procure their tool or you procure their service. So because it's business effective, it is appealing for organizations, and sometimes they might lack the resources to handle this particular part of the day-to-day operations. But on the other side, this is the bright side, but the other side says that it will introduce significant risks, especially in terms of cybersecurity. Why? Because you're sharing data. You're sharing sensitive information, you're sharing personal information, you're given access. So for example, a CRM, you're adding a lot of information related to your clientele. An auditing system, you're sharing a lot of information when it comes to your financials. And like identity access management tools, you're sharing access to your internal system. So any type of third party will introduce a risk for a company, will introduce a risk when it comes to data breach. Data breach will like the risk of data breach increases, like being vulnerable to a zero-day exploit as well increases. Having a breach to any data breach or credential leakage for any of your third-party employees increases. Like as an example, recent example, it was Snowflake. It was just from a simple credential that has been sold in the black market, and adversaries and threat actors, they just got this particular credentials and they did the harm that they have done. So lots of ways that you need to take into consideration, lots of cracks, lots of backdoors that you have to put under your radar when it comes to third-party risk management. And it's not only third-party risk management, even your third parties might be using third parties, and those third parties are using other third parties. So it's a layers, third party, fourth party, and until you reach like to an unlimited number of parties that they are the foundation of your day-to-day operations and your ecosystem. Another example, as I said, like solar winds affected federal agencies, affected like governmental entities. We have another example, which is the CASEA that also affected. It was, I think, in 2021, also affected lots of governmental entities and like big organizations. Now, usually before, when the cyber attack used to take days to happen, we still had time to know if there is any adversary or if there's any harm is about to happen. Not in all cases, but because the pace was slow, because the technologies and the complexity was not that sophisticated and complex. But now, like, there are some studies say like within an hour and a half, like a harm would really, or like an attack would really harm a business and would really jeopardize a business and would lead it to even exit the market, or even like a huge financial loss. Like a vulnerability, sometimes it might cost organizations like up to $20 million, for example, like a cost of one vulnerability that was not fixed, a cause of like one particular product that was not patched. So this traditional approach before, the static methods, such as questionnaires, every quarterly based questionnaires, annual audits, high-level risk assessments, or going to a third party as well, asking for, let's say, a particular scorecard, let's say, or a research or an audit to be done on a specific vendor before you move forward with a contract with them. So all these are static methods, or these are not that not that time efficient. You need something much more faster. You need something like, you need practices and approach or program that, you will always be up to the speed with the speed of threat actors and with the speed of cyber attacks. So in real-time threats, usually these methods, they fail. As I said, especially that we are in a fast-moving world of cybersecurity. So data ownership changes multiple times within these ecosystems. Means that organizations, they need to have a continuous and a proactive approach to securing this data as it flows like through their third-party networks and through their third-party ecosystem. So then now we're gonna like talk what is the role of threat intelligence and third-party risk management. I mean, third-party risk management is, as I said, it's knowing your partners. It's like, yeah, like the KYC, knowing your customer. Here, you have to know your partner. You have to know your third party. You have to assess the risk. Is it a high risk? Is it a low risk? Because this not only will help organizations when it comes to building a robust security program and a proper post-incident plans and incident response plans and post-incident response plans, but also it will help them to negotiate financially with third-party vendors. If a third party is high risk, once you want to sign a contract, at least you'll have some solid information to establish this negotiation. So now we're going to discuss how third-party intelligence or threat intelligence, supply chain intelligence will play a crucial role into strengthening third-party risk management. Now, as the cyber landscape is becoming increasingly complex, threat intelligence, the main purpose of threat intelligence is providing organizations with actionable insights into like emerging threats, insight about like the TTPs and that like threat actors for particular threat actors. What are like, for example, their aliases? What is their MITRE attack matrix? What are the target countries or what are the target sectors? What are like the software or the malware that they usually use in their attacks or in their campaigns? Are there particular vulnerabilities they are well known in exploiting while they are initiating and kicking off their campaigns and attacks? So these are like examples, some of the threat intel, some of the intelligence or the insights that an organization can get. And this is usually collected from a variety of sources. Could be the dark web, hacker forums, advisories, some exchange of knowledge within businesses, and this happens a lot, especially when it comes to finance or governmental entities. Global cyber activities, being like familiar and aware with the latest campaigns happening globally, Telegram channels, Discord servers, IRC channels, GitHub repositories as well. You never know when there could be like a malicious script is posted on a code repository. So all this is considered as intelligence and insight. So by integrating threat intelligence into third party risk management, in this way, you'd be proactively, or businesses will be proactively monitoring the supply chain, their supply chain. There will be actively monitoring the cyber risks in real time. Also, it's very important to have like real time, up to date threat intelligence. So let's say, for example, if threat intelligence would help you to identify vulnerabilities within a third party vendor, because if you're using a technology, a particular technology or a product, you should be aware with the latest CVEs assigned, for example, how to mitigate it, how to patch it, what are the remediation suggestions, for example, or the mitigation suggestions. Sometimes it's not only about like an assigned CVE. It could be like, you have to keep an eye on vulnerability brokers, and the dark web and the dark rooms. It's not only about selling compromised credentials. Sometimes, malicious hackers, they detect a particular vulnerability. Instead of going with a bug bounty program, they just keep it for themselves and they sell it for the highest bidder. So you need to know if there are any, vulnerabilities that they are uncovered yet or undisclosed yet, for example. This would definitely help organizations from any type of cyber attack, or at least they would know if this particular technology is vulnerable or not. Now, supply chain attacks as well is like where usually malicious actors and threat actors, as I said, they compromise a legitimate software provider to distribute malware, infostealer log, ransomware, and this is becoming common, you know. And it's not only about vulnerabilities. Now, the easiest way, by the way, the easiest way nowadays is to log in, not to hack in. You just go look for a particular credential in the black market, you buy it, you get the access, you log in, and you do the harm. So see, there are different fronts that we have to be aware of, that we have to cover. It's not about vulnerabilities as well. It's about like login credentials. So even you have to monitor not only if you have something internally been compromised or exfiltrated, but also you have to know your third-party vendors if they had a similar breach or a similar incident. So threat intelligence usually enables organizations to it's an early warning system, you know. At least you will receive early warnings about such incidents. You can monitor your suppliers, you can monitor your partners for any security weaknesses or breaches. No, for example, if we want to take Socrata as an example, uh, there are lots of ways that you can benefit from this tool. You have a dedicated supply chain intelligence module where there are lots of use cases can be covered or catered for. It could be adding your third-party vendors, keeping like up to date with latest trends, latest incidents, latest activities, the latest cyber exposure level, how popular they are in the dark web, the number of botnets that they were infected with, like if there are any phishing campaigns happening or targeting this particular third-party vendor. You can even like generate reports about this specific third-party vendor. You'll have some solid data in case there was an incident, just to put it on the table and initiate a discussion and communication with your third parties. Another use case that could be catered for is through the supply chain intelligence module is let's say checking the global trends. And when we talk about global trends, also we're talking about the capability of filtering those trends, those campaigns by the type of the attack. Is it a cyber attack? Is it a ransomware attack? Is it a defacement? Is it a DDoS, a zero-day exploit? You can even filter by a particular industry, or you can filter by a particular country or a particular region, because it's not only knowing what is happening with your third-party vendors, but also when it comes to your industry, what is happening in your industry, what is happening in your region, in your country, because this is also part of your ecosystem. This is part of your ecosystem. When we talk about like being aware what's happening in your country of cyber attacks in your country, because sometimes governments, they have regulations and they, for example, they force, let's say, the financial sector with a list of tools that they have to use, list of protocols that they have to follow. So they have to comply, as an example. So you're forced to use a particular technology. That's why also you have to keep an eye on them. You have to check the advisories of regulatory bodies in the government, because this could also help you in threat intelligence, supply chain intelligence, and third-party risk management. These are some use cases that SOC Radar can help, and use cases that you have to keep in mind, not only because of SOC Radar, in case you want to build your own program and you're considering other vendors or tools. Attack surface management is very important when it comes to third-party risk management and risk assessment, because attack surface management is being familiar and being aware of your attack vector, your threat landscape, and understanding the security posture of your threat landscape as an organization. And it happens a lot, by the way, with me from experience, when I'm having discussion with organizations, talking about their assets. So a simple question that I ask: how many assets do you have? They tell me, okay, no, I only have one domain name, and like 10 subdomains, because I'm hosting my APIs and microservices on these subdomains, and it's only one wildcard SSL certificate applied on all of my domains and subdomains. When we do an asset discovery, when we take the extra mile, we figure out that no, it's not only limited to one domain and like 10 subdomains and one SSL certificate. We figure out and we found out that they have 20, 30 other subdomains that they totally forgot about because they were testing a particular integration with a third party, and it has become outdated. And this imposed extra risk. They forgot about like shadow IT for technologies or products that they were also assessing and considering, but they didn't procure, and it was left online, which is also a third-party risk. So either they have to upgrade if they are still assessing, or they have to decommission to remove it. They forgot about cloud buckets, code repositories, even some public IPs that they totally forgot about. So we end up having like 400, 500 assets. And even those 400, 500 assets, they have technologies installed on. Like they have, like, for example, a subdomain that is using PHP, Apache, MySQL. They have another subdomain that has IIS and MS SQL installed. They have another subdomain with, you never know the type of the technology installed. So all these are part of your supply chain. All these are part of your technologies, your vendors, your products that you are using. This is why attack surface management is very important, to be aware of what you have in your threat landscape. In addition to that, with an attack surface management, a proper attack surface management tool, you'd be able to know if these technologies are vulnerable or not, if they have any particular vulnerabilities existing or not. Because in the end, also, you need to mitigate the risk, and you need to continuously monitor third parties. This is very important. Continuity, the continuous checking and continuous monitoring. It's not like an ad hoc. It's not like a one-time task. Things should be automated and should be handled in a continuous manner. In addition to that, threat intelligence will help, as I said, the supply chain to remain secure, but also it will align your operations with compliance standards, such as, GDPR, HIPAA, NCA, SAMA, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, given that we were talking a bit about SOC Radar, so this is, for example, this is the supply chain intelligence, by the way, module. This is one of the features in the supply chain intelligence. As I said here, you will have a list of, the cyber attacks happening globally, targeting governmental entities, targeting organizations, public, private. You'd know, if available, the threat actor or the threat actors involved. So at least when you know who's involved, you will go into their TTPs, you understand more what are their TTPs, what are their indicators of compromise. So you can patch or you can update your SIM solutions, your source solutions, your endpoint security tools, your incident response tools, feeding them and enriching them with an up-to-date indicators of compromise. Also, when it comes to supply chain intelligence module, there's where you can add your own third-party vendors. Keep an eye on them, the latest cyber exposure level. You can check, you can also download the latest cyber exposure report. And it shouldn't be limited to your technology partners or to your technology third-party vendors, but also you have to add every single vendor, even the vendor that they fill in the pantry in your company, that they get you the water, they get you the food, they fill up your canteen. Any type of vendor, because you are at least sharing at least one single sensitive information with them. So it's always important to keep an eye on them. Vulnerability intelligence is crucial to subscribe to the technologies that you are currently using or the products that you are currently using, or even the ones that you are assessing, considering, because this is part of your risk assessment. Let's say that you want to procure, I don't know, let's say like a security tool even. It's not like, I'm not gonna limit my discussion today with CRM or stock system or whatsoever. No, a security tool. You want to implement a security tool. But part of the risk assessment is to keep an eye on them for a couple of months, for example, to see how frequent they are when it comes to CVE disclosures, how frequent they are when it comes to having disclosed vulnerabilities. This will help you in decision making. And as I said, in addition to that, if it's an existing or if it's already implemented technology, you will be up to date straight away. You can do all the needed and the required actions. Threat actors, knowing more the threat actors, their TTPs, their IUCs, their latest news and campaigns, even Yara and Sigma rules. Having Yara and Sigma rules will save you a lot of time. You push them to your endpoint security tools, and that's it. At least, you can focus on the more advanced and the more sophisticated and complex tasks. But like the ones that they can be automated, just automate it. That's one of the best practices. Knowing the details, the target countries, the target sectors, and the target vulnerabilities. What type of vulnerabilities does this threat actor usually use or abuse or exploit? You see the list of vulnerabilities. Is it related to a technology that I have? Does it exist in my threat landscape? Does it exist in my digital footprint? So it's also very important to understand the profile of your APT groups or threat actors. Threat hunting, or going into the dark web, searching for particular third-party vendors, going into like Telegram channels, Discord servers, paste bins, code repositories, the surface web, public buckets, etc., etc. Imagine even threat feeds, commercial threat feeds, private threat feeds, open source threat feeds. So imagine like this long list of sources that you have where you can collect intel from. Just imagine doing this manually, okay? Going to the first black market, to the second black market, the first hacker forum, to the second, to the 10th, to the 100th, etc., etc. Having, I don't know, 4,000, 5,000 Telegram channels where threat actors are usually active in, and you want to check if there's any compromised credentials, or even if they are discussing a particular campaign, and they are preparing a particular campaign targeting a list of companies, which it turns out that one of your third party vendors is part of this list. You're talking about 4,000, and Discord server whatsoever. So here you're talking about thousands and thousands of sources. Instead of going to every single place manually, you need a threat intelligence tool where it will, scrape, collect, aggregate data, and consolidate it in one single place. And you just go to that page, search engine style page. You write down the domain name, a keyword, an IP address, a domain name, a hash value, an email address, or whatsoever. With one click, one simple query, you will get whatever you want. You will get how popular they are in the dark web, how many info stealer logs, how many breach data sets and combo lists, exposed raw data, public buckets, code repositories. It could be, you want to check like if their domain name has a bad reputation, or if they have any of their subdomains with a bad reputation, or it has been blacklisted or abused for any malicious activity, So this will help you more to understand your third-party vendors. Now, some case studies that we talked about them, like we mentioned briefly during this demo about these case studies and real-world examples, but just to revisit them. MoveIt incident, for example. It was an incident by a ransomware group in 2023, and it's a perfect illustration on how with vulnerability any third-party vendor software can have a widespread consequences. So this breach, by the way, this breach affected over 2,500 organizations across 30 countries. So that was global. That was massive. And the impact of that was 80 million individuals. So with threat intelligence, for example, organizations could have been at least alerted to a suspicious activity before the vulnerability was widely exploited. This is one of the cases that threat intelligence would help in third-party risk management. A financial institution, for example, which um, I cannot disclose, but this financial institution, we had a really, really success story with them, and where they adopted threat intelligence and was able to detect an early warning sign of a breach in one of their really like key suppliers, and it would have really affected them badly. So their incident response team, because of this alert or this warning, they were able to act in a timely manner. They were super swift in their action, and they were able to mitigate what could have been really a significant security incident, not only for them, because even this financial institution was a third party for another organization and another institutions. T-Mobile, they had a breach, like multiple data breaches actually, with the two significant ones happening in 2023, where a database leak exposed customers and employee data. And this could have been, mitigated or avoided with threat intelligence, because at least you would have been alerted if there's something happening, any discussion in those dark rooms about T-Mobile. So they would have at least got the data dump, they could have assessed it, and they did the needed action. And, Snowflake, we already mentioned that um, at the beginning of our session. So in a summary, risk management strategies, regular third-party risk assessment, always have role-based access control, multi-factor authentication, always build incident response plan for supply chain attacks. There's no silver bullet. You can build your plan, benefit from best practices, always benefit from other, incidents and experiences. You can build up the maturity of your incident response plans step by step. This is something gradual. Always do security training and certification. Security training not only for your technology personnel or for your IT department or your security department, but also for your employees to be much more of like security wise aware. Try to implement, a security-wide mindset in organizations. Always build really robust service level agreements and escalation protocols with your third parties. Automation, always monitor your supply chain, your third party, implement threat intelligence and supply chain intelligence tools to help you identify emerging threats, improving risk assessment, enhancing decision making and vendor selection, making sure that you're compliant with third party compliance standards, vulnerability intelligence, and proactive security measures. So uh, third-party risk management is no longer just about managing operational risks. It's a vital part of maintaining your organization's security posture, because we are in an increasingly interconnected world, definitely. So the growing frequency of supply chain attacks and data breaches actually shows the traditional methods are no longer sufficient. So by integrating threat intelligence into your third-party risk management strategies and supply chain intelligence in particular, you can stay ahead of emerging threats, or if there's an ongoing threat, at least you can act swiftly, improve your ability to assess and manage risks in real time, and make more informed decisions. So this proactive approach is essential for maintaining not only compliance with regulations, but also trust of your customers and partners. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And I'll just keep this this slide for you in case you want to have a demo. Just scan the QR code or visit our website, request a demo, and we'll be more than happy to take this discussion further with you.